Hey everyone, it's baze.djunkiii transmitting from Hamburg, Germany, back with a new video and back with a bit of a special video, not really an unboxing, not really a vinyl talk, but something in between I guess, but not even vinyl related. But well, as you know, I'm in the process of taking over a big record collection, which I'm going through. Like part of those I will sell on Discogs with my Discog sales account, part of those I will keep, and in the process of that I remember that I have like a massive box of unheard CDs sitting somewhere and multiple boxes of unheard library music on CD, which I haven't heard and checked because, well, going back to a few years, more than a decade actually, my ex-girlfriend's father had a like advertisement agency, a small one, and he was like kind of in the process of closing that down, I guess, or clearing things out. And he told me at some point, well, I got to know you're a DJ and stuff, and I have like super massive stacks of music sitting up there, like stuff that got sent to us as an advertisement agency from like a lot of like library music companies. Would you like to have those? And we went up there and checked, and there was like a bunch, like such a bunch of like library music vinyl, most of that from the 80s, and like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of CDs actually. And we filled up a car, and we didn't take all of them because we were living in a small flat at that point, and there was no way to fit all of that in. And well, they have been sitting there. Like when we were together, we broke up, then there was a time I couldn't like touch those boxes because it was like, well, memories attached to that time, and I needed time to take a step back kind of. And well, now it's like a lot of time has passed, and those boxes are still sitting here. And I decided, well, I will start going through those and listen to all those as well. I will start to listen to all of those as well because, well, might be like 200 or 300 CDs, which might be like 200 or 300 hours of music worth listening to. And library music with some of the 80s and 90s stuff is a bit difficult to listen to in terms of CDs because there are like full versions and there are stingers and there are like 20-second versions on most of those CDs and stuff. And that can be a bit annoying at times, but I've started and I picked an example of that because we've all seen like having library music having like a big resurgence kind of, especially of course the 60s and 70s stuff where all the hip hop guys were taking samples from. And we have like labels like Be With from Australia, I guess, which are re-releasing a lot of stuff, and other labels doing like library music style releases or re-releases, or I guess even Greg Foad had done like an album that is not really library but looks like a library music album and stuff. And that is all the kind of organic sample stuff, groovy stuff, funk related stuff, trippy disco, whatever there is. But I feel there is a subsection of library music that is totally not tapped in yet, which is of course the like mid 80s to 90s stuff. And I guess that is because a lot of that is like cheap synthetic synth stuff, but also a lot of that has never been released on vinyl. So and CDs haven't been like the talk of the town for years. So there is a lot of stuff to discover, and I picked this one recently because I just listened to it. That is Xavier Delisle or Javi Delil, or however you pronounce that. Voices from 1990 actually. Interesting, beautiful cover. If you can see this, I will take this out of the tray. Well, this is the track list. There's a 50 minutes album, probably like 15 titles on there. Looks like this from the inside, a CD here. And what is interesting about this is about library music in general. Here's the booklet and the artwork again. That there is, there's descriptions of course on the inside, and which are, well, kind of interesting. There's track length stated, of course, and there is like the general feel of the music stated in French, because Coca Media, which is the label that released those CDs, is a French label that was launched in 1985 and ran as a kind of subdivision of RCA Music. There's the whole entire catalog in there as well mentioned, and yeah, there is a lot of interesting stuff on here. I've been listening to that like a minute ago actually, and yeah, the CD is called Voices, which is a little bit misleading because there is not much like full-on vocal performance here, but well, tracks are described as like nostalgic, lyrical with an opera singer, jazzy, sample camera sounds, humorous, tender with children's voices, burlesque and humorous. One track is described as onomatopoetic, strange and stuff, with editing points in there, and track tempo is like slow, medium, fast. So these are the descriptions for people who wanted to use them in ads. But I found this very interesting because I took down some notes on here. There is a swing track there with a little bit of like scat, like jazzy scat stuff. There is one like very weird track on there which kind of reminded me in its vocal performance of like Bronski Beat, Jimmy Somerville, that high, which is not really like, well, this high falsetto singing, but like kind of non-vocal, so you got only not really words, but only like tonal shifts and stuff. We got some trippy drums in here, some dreamlike things. We got some like swing stuff. We got like super romantic pianos and like a lot of other stuff like dreamy, outerworldly vocals, like trippy children's voices, a bit of horror score in there, but not really dark, but kind of tense and brooding, and all of that on one album by one artist, on the Voices album, which is a little bit all over the place in terms of things. A lot of library music's albums are like kind of thematic, following like one basic idea. Like I got some things sitting around that have like sports as a main theme, so we got, well, for sports announcements and some like trailers in between and stuff. But this would work as a full album, as like an eclectic album thing, also as a, I guess, vinyl reissue. And this is, I guess, the first album by that guy, Xavier Delille, or however you pronounce this. I'm not like able to speak French properly. He did, and for the Coca Media album or label, and I guess he did two more as far as the quick research gave me on Discogs, and was involved in some other productions. But I don't know. There is, I feel this is a kind of untapped territory and not much talked about, and a lot of those CDs are pretty cheap on Discogs in comparison to like library vinyl, I guess. It was like a few years ago, it was much cheaper. I had a quick look at that when a lot of things were going like for $1.50, $2 or €2 or $3 or something like that, and now within the meantime the prices have gone up for some albums like to 5, 6 to 10 to 15 or whatever. But I feel there are not many of those albums around because when things went digital, I guess a lot of CDs were thrown away or like sold at flea markets or like dumped somewhere, and that might be an interesting territory to tap in if you are into music that is not really known and to many. And I feel a lot of those tracks haven't been licensed at all, so you haven't heard them, or not a lot of people have heard them at some point in their lives, and those CDs aren't around. I don't see them a lot, even not in flea markets, and there are hundreds of them. And what is interesting, there's even a sticker on there which has the address and contact of the Coca Media like Munich offices in Germany. And I feel a lot of things in the library music business work like that you can use them without like, well, you have to mention them and you have to call them and clear the rights, but a lot of that was made especially with the use for film and for media and TV ads in mind. So there was no dealing with like weird artists that had a say in where this will be used. It was just like, okay, I like that, I call them up, I discuss the price and then make a deal and stuff, and then you are free to use it, and people wanted the music to use. And this is an interesting concept, and well, I got a lot of those to go through. And I want to ask you, if you are into like weird music like I am, do you have any of those library music CDs around, and from which labels? There are a lot, like there's Sonotone, I guess, there's Coca Media, there's some other sub-label of Coca, I guess, and well, hundreds of others. And I will discover a lot more. I will post some of mine on my Instagram, I guess, and in my Insta stories and on Twitter or whatever. But yeah, this is like just a short rambling because I rediscovered that, and I feel I have a lot to discover within those boxes, and I'm very curious how many of those I'm going to keep for my archives. And I'm thinking about another question to put up here, especially also for those who have like big vinyl collections, like no matter if all over the place or dedicated to one specific era. Given the fact that we all are like mortal and we're gonna pass away at some point, what is your plan to do with your record collection? Especially if you have like a well curated one, you want to keep in one thing as a cultural item maybe. Where will your records go when you pass away? What is your plan? Will you dedicate them? Will you sell them? Before that, if you're old, or what is your plan to do with all those things you've accumulated over the years, including like magazines, music-related books, memorabilia, everything that is connected to your record collection. So 2 questions to put out to end this one. Quick ramblings on a Sunday evening. I hope you enjoyed. Leave me a message, leave me a comment down there. Of course, check out my Discogs Jails channel. You will not be able to get this because I'm going to keep that, but other things might pop up anyway. But for now, Bass Junkie out with a quick unusual video. See you in the next one.